A member of City Council releases wording of a possible plebiscite question. Fire sends a Westport man to hospital. And no further charges in the Rob Ford investigation. Good evening and thank you for joining us. City Councillor Linda Ridholm has released the wording of a possible ballot box question on the proposed event centre.
The issue will be up for debate on Monday night, and already people are lining up to speak at the meeting. Like the project itself, the idea of holding a plebiscite during the October municipal election has supporters and detractors. Dennis Ward has reaction to the proposed question.
Are you in favor of City Council continuing with the process to build the proposed event and convention centre in Thunder Bay? That is the question Linda Ridholm wants to pose to the electorate in this fall's municipal election. She feels the project carries a big price tag and change for the community and believes more public engagement is needed.
I am not going to be campaigning on this. I want the city to get the facts out, continue over the next 6 months with their studies, get all that information out, and see how the people vote in October.
The proposed ballot box question won't receive support from Councillor Rebecca Johnson. She doesn't know if it's the right question to ask and feels there are too many unknowns about the project to ask voters right now. Johnson says she's already been getting a lot of feedback on the event centre.
The people that are concerned about the actual event center being built are in the minority. The ones that are saying, let's go ahead, let's take a look at this, see where we go with it, are definitely in the increasing, and there's no question there seems to be, to me, a case for saying, let's keep going forward on this.
Shift Thunder Bay is one organization that has come out in support of the current process. The group represents more than 400 young professionals in the city. President Nathan Lawrence says council and the community need to make an informed decision.
One that is made based on all of the facts and all of the available information. And with the phase 3 of the feasibility study not being complete yet, we do feel that doing a plebiscite on this particular discussion right now is a bit premature.
There is support for Ridholm's idea. Concerned Taxpayers Chair Ray Smith says the question she is proposing is similar to one he's already thought of. The fact this is coming to council is a small victory to him.
I just think this is long overdue, and this is the way to proceed. You need public support. If an event center at some time, whether it be now or later, is built, it has to be a Thunder Bay decision, because it's going to be Thunder Bay residents, for the most part, that will have to support it.
Ridholm has support to get the motion on the floor this coming Monday night, but it will be up to the whole of council to decide whether or not the question actually makes it on the ballot this October. Dennis Ward, TBT News.
There has been a lot of talk over the reliability of online reader polls conducted on the Event Centre project. Nobody pretends they're scientific, but people do like to use the numbers to further their cause. Now, a class at Lakehead University has begun conducting a survey of their own, one they believe is a true gauge of public sentiment. Outdoor recreation, parks, and tourism students have been trying to determine the community's level of support. Their survey has also been looking at people's willingness to pay more taxes for the project. The questionnaire is more than 20 questions long, and students don't believe it can be manipulated. Professor Mike Ewan says there have been some interesting surprises along the way.
In terms of how much taxes that people are willing to pay, that the amount for the multiplex is much higher than I thought, and relative to the other tax, to the tax structure. And so that has been surprising. Overall, I think that it's surprising how much support there is for the multiplex.
The final results of the study are still pending. The data collection will wrap up on April 9th.
An early morning fire sent a Thunder Bay man to hospital with burns to his arm and hand, along with smoke inhalation. The home also sustained extensive damage. Fire and rescue crews were called to the home on East Mary Street at around 1 o'clock in the morning. The interior of the house was heavily gutted by the flames, and the entire home has major smoke damage. The fire was eventually extinguished with no injuries to fire crews. The male occupant of the house, who originally tried to put out the fire himself, has since been released from hospital. Fire officials say it appears the blaze was started by a candle that tipped over while the man was sleeping.
An early morning fire that killed one person in Fort Severn yesterday has prompted Anishinaabe Nation officials to call for a territory-wide fire plan. NAN Deputy Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler is now reaching out to the federal and provincial governments, as well as the Fire Marshal's office and others, to take an inventory of fire suppression equipment and develop a comprehensive approach in all of its communities. Mishkegogumang First Nation has been under a state of emergency for over a month after a series of fires killed a total of 12 people this winter. Chief Connie Gray McKay says assistance has been insubstantial to deal with the root problem of overcrowding, and Fiddler agrees this winter's fires are evidence of larger issues.
We all need to acknowledge what is happening, that we've lost too many of our members, especially children, I think are the most vulnerable. We've lost at least 5 or 6 in the last year or so. And I think losing one should be a wake-up call to all of us, and losing this many is, I think, becoming too much of a pattern that we need to do something about it.
A statement from Federal Minister of Aboriginal Affairs Bernard Valcourt says $200,000 was provided to purchase a new fire truck for Mishkegogumang in 2009, and over $35,000 was spent for protection and training last year. Chief McKay points out that truck has frozen as there is no indoor space to keep it heated.
There's a Thunder Bay tie to a dramatic arrest made by Sault Ste. Marie police last night. An armed man and a woman were taken into custody at a remote cabin north of that city. Police had begun the search for a truck they were driving following an incident here in Thunder Bay. Police were alerted when this abandoned trailer was found on fire in the Cascades area yesterday afternoon. Investigation determined it had been involved in a collision earlier at County Fair Plaza, with the driver of the pickup that was pulling it fleeing the scene. Police say they believe the trailer may have been stolen in Hinton, Alberta. Officers were able to recover papers that identified a man and a woman from inside the burned trailer. Police say that same pickup was later involved in the theft of gasoline from a business in Marathon. The truck was finally stopped after driving over a spike belt placed across Highway 17 near Batchewana Bay. Despite 3 flat tires, that truck continued to flee for another 20 kilometers before the occupants abandoned it and took refuge in an empty cabin. They finally surrendered after a short standoff with police. Charges are pending.
A 5-car collision this afternoon forced the closure of both the north and southbound traffic lanes on Golf Links Road. The accident happened around 4 o'clock at the intersection of Golf Links and the Harper Expressway. Fire officials at the scene say at least 2 people were transported to hospital with what are believed to be non-life-threatening injuries. 3 of the vehicles appear to have sustained extensive damage, and a traffic signal pole was completely taken down by one of them. There are believed to be live hydro wires remaining on the ground. Now, at last word, traffic has been halted through that intersection, and motorists are being advised to seek alternate routes.
The father of a local fallen soldier was upset after hearing his travel expenses would not be paid to attend a memorial ceremony in Ottawa next month. But now the Harper government is changing its tune.
I like to go if it's possible, no problem.
Antonio Beneca's son, Corporal Anthony Beneca, was killed in 2006 during his second tour of duty in Afghanistan. In February, he and other military family members received a letter from the Director of Casualty Support Management, inviting them to the National Day of Honor on May 9th. But the letter also said the trip to Ottawa would be at their own expense. Defense Minister Rob Nicholson announced today that the expenses will be paid for the families of the fallen soldiers traveling to the event. The retired widower says he needs at least his airfare paid to make the trip.
Well, if you say that, I appreciate that. That's what they have to understand. These 150 guys died there. There's a lot of people, I know. If they ask everybody to go there, cost them a lot of money. But I don't know if we have special rates or not. But government is like that. If they want to do it, they do it. If they want to do it, they don't.
Beneca says it's important for military families to maintain the links they've made with others who've lost loved ones to war.
A group known as Thunder Bay Parents Against Bullying gathered last night to bring forward their ideas on how to reduce the number of incidents at city schools. The Catholic and public school board heads, as well as the chair of the Police Services Board, attended the public forum at the Da Vinci Center. Organizer Mandy O'Connor believes the system-wide implementation of school uniforms would lead to a huge reduction in bullying. The group also brought forward concerns about monitoring children and getting more surveillance on school buses.
We We can head this off before it gets to a situation that we have a suicide or any sort of violent situation. I think the idea is to get this in place before these things happen, as opposed to, being proactive versus being reactive. So, and we're in a small enough community that we can do that.
According to O'Connor, their Facebook page receives a large number of concerns and complaints. These students also voiced their opinions last night, stating much of the bullying takes place online. Randy Greer was even homeschooled before switching schools.
I'm actually hanging out with friends now. People actually hang out with me. They talk to me. They don't ignore me. They're really kind to me in that.
Thunder Bay Parents Against Bullying also spoke about how peer-to-peer attacks happen to all students, some as young as second graders.
Thunder Bay police are looking for the public's help in locating a missing teen. 14-year-old Thomas Brown has been missing from his guardian's East Christina Street residence since Tuesday, March 18th. Thomas is described as being 5'8" and 130 pounds with wavy blonde hair and blue eyes. When last seen, he was wearing a black leather jacket and black jogging pants. Police are encouraging Thomas to call his guardian or advise him that he is safe. Anyone who may have information on his whereabouts is also asked to contact police.
The end is near for two historic courthouses here in Thunder Bay. Staff at the local Crown Attorney's Office have been busy filling up boxes getting ready for their move to the new consolidated courthouse. That'll take place this weekend. Mike Albanese reports.
The Superior Courthouse, which was built nearly 80 years ago, will be closing its doors on Friday. District Crown Attorney Dan Mitchell says the move to the new courthouse in the downtown South Core has been very busy, especially when you take into account that until the city's two existing courthouses are officially shut down, court is still in session.
We are trying to continue operations in the midst of what I think is a monumental shift in locations, because we're coming from two locations into one.
The Crown Attorney's office has been located in the Superior Courthouse for 50 years now, and you can assume it's not all smiles to be moving to a new location, as there is so much rich history from this vintage building being left behind.
There is a measure of sadness. There's no question about that. I've been the Crown Attorney here now for almost 25 full years, and I've been sitting in this office for that entire time. And so to leave a quarter of a century of my life behind and move into a new facility, I think is certainly a change, and it is a major change in my life and my staff.
The consolidated courthouse on the corner of Brody and Miles Street may not have a view of both the Sleeping Giant and Mount McKay from his office, but Mitchell says there is great architecture in the new building that will give everyone from workers to visitors a new perspective on the administration of justice.
It really is a vast improvement, sad to say with respect to these old buildings, but it's a vast improvement in terms of efficiency and in terms of ability to serve the administration of justice.
The first cases in the consolidated courthouse will be heard on Monday. Mike Albanese, TBT News.
And with the opening of the new courthouse next week, there is another change for local motorists to take note of. The new pedestrian crosswalk was activated today on Miles Street. The lights are the type that only can be activated by a pedestrian. According to the city's traffic signal technologist, Ryan Love, the signals are also designed to be as friendly as possible for those with disabilities.
There's a beacon coming from the PED signal, and when the button is pressed, there's a light that shows that the signal has been activated and it will be turning. So these are more friendly for people with disabilities.
Now, in addition to the signals being installed, the city's also updated the transit stops around the courthouse. Love says this brings Thunder Bay's total traffic signals up to 108 across the city.
Officials with Thunder Bay Hydro say customers will have an easier time managing and tracking their electricity usage thanks to the launch of the online service called My T-Bay Hydro. The online system is supposed to not only make managing usage and payments easier, but also cut back on the almost 28,000 paper statements it sends out each month. This will have a positive impact for the environment, according to Hydro Vice President Tim Wilson. And while he hopes the registration for this online service will be in the thousands, he says even 1,000 signups will cover the capital and ongoing costs of the system.
We purposely kind of hesitated on that kind of a move for a number of years, just to make sure we understood exactly what it was customers wanted. Was it paying online? Was it account access? Was it access to the electricity usage? And with all the conservation programs that the province has us delivering at this point, we felt that this was a good opportunity to really marry access to electricity usage to help customers have a better understanding of their usage within their home.
The Thunder Bay Hydro online service is free for all new and existing customers. Those who wish to stick with the paper statements in the mail will not be charged extra to do so.